it is a, I mean, listen, two of the best wrestlers of all time. And just let's just start with the entrance of the thing. Shawn Michaels zip lines down from the top of the building, and as it's become a pretty legendary story, the narrative has always been out there. Vince won't ask his performers to do anything he's not willing to do himself. And I think there's even footage out there I've seen of Vince doing this zipline stunt the night before. What do you remember of that?
Well, we went up there to do it, and it was a day of. Went in, and Vince got in the harness, did everything, and just jumped off. What no one took into account was the way that the lighting truss was and where the zip line was. And Vince was headed right straight for the lighting truss. Thank God he saw it and got his legs out in front of him and was able to kick off. But it was a pretty scary thing. And Shawn and I looked at each other, and I wanted to go next. And Shawn and I looked at each other and said, you can go. You can do it. I'm good. Because, I mean, you were up there, dude, and completely safe. But I'm afraid of heights anyway. I wanted to do it for my fear of heights to kind of, I do stupid shit like that sometimes. But it was pretty cool, man. We knew it. They did it with they did it with the Ducks, where they would have like somebody deliver a puck during the game to come down on the zip line and all that shit. So we wanted to utilize that. Someone asked us if we wanted to do it. Thought it'd be cool for Shawn to do.
Super cool to do. Quite the entrance. Bret had a more traditional entrance, not nearly as elaborate. And Dave would say Hart didn't get as big of a pop coming out as Michaels, but he didn't do an elaborate entrance, but he received no boos coming out. And he says the first half of the match was slow paced and very little crowd noise. It wasn't as if the crowd was intensely watching because people were steadily leaving for the concession stands. But the execution on both sides was tremendous in what they were doing. That to me tells the story. Like, I think this Iron Man stip is a dud for a WrestleMania main event. I know you disagree, but the actual wrestling itself is unbelievable. Go out of your way to watch it. I'm sure that Pat Patterson was heavily involved in putting this together. As you
He
understand it,
was crying on a birthday, Bret the Shawn about the birthday case. He loved it.
so as a reminder, time expires and we're all tied up at 0. No one has lost a pin yet. And it's a drop kick off the top, and Bret catches him in a sharpshooter. Shawn does not submit, but the bell rings. Bret gets up, grabs the belt, starts heading towards the back, and here comes Gorilla Monsoon. And he's going to say, we've got to restart the match and do sudden death. And you can see Bret mouthing, why? And there is almost no reaction to the restart of the match. And usually, when it's something where this is done and the heel is thinking they've got away with a win, and the commissioner says, no, we're going to restart the match, there's a big pop because, yay, our baby face is going to get another shot, and, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work as well here because they're both baby face guys. And in the overtime, Shawn hits not one, but 2 super kicks in less than 2 minutes. He gets the win. He's going to nearly choke up in the ring. And in the middle of the celebration, Shawn is going to kiss Helen Hart and hug Bret's son, Blade. Bret's going to walk out of the ring. And of course, the story evolves from there about what was said and how there were some hurt feelings. Do you remember, like, when you guys are talking about the way the exit happens? Bret's going to leave, Shawn's going to celebrate. We know that Bret's going to be taking some time off, but what seeds were you trying to plant, and what was just real life between the guys?
Bret's idea. Bret wanted to leave frustrated, not speak to anybody, grab his stuff and go. To give the locker room and anybody backstage that would have seen him the perception, wow, Bret's really pissed off at this. Because Bret was going to South Africa not to be heard from for a while. And then when he comes back, you get back into the stuff with Shawn, and maybe he turns heel, he being Bret. But that was Bret. That was Bret wanting to plant seeds at that point in time. And everybody else took it as a shoot, and everybody took it as, oh, Bret's pissed off. Bret was working.
Right.
Shawn knew, they all knew. But I think the only ones that really knew inside was Vince and myself.
We've talked a little bit about, the passing of the torch at WrestleMania. And 6 years prior to this, we saw a babyface versus a babyface with the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. And now we've got the same thing, babyface and babyface for the world title, but with Bret and Shawn. Mm-hmm. Do you think in hindsight, there would have been more drama had there been more falls? Had one of the guys been a heel? Or did you just think it was perfect just as it was?
Well, you're asking the guy who put it on. I thought it was perfect the way it was.
Right.
Sure, you could have had a heel and babyface and told a different story, and it would have been great. I thought the story that we told was great, of two of the absolute best in their prime at that time, battling it out for the top prize. I thought it was excellent.
I just wonder if Shawn would have come in as the heel, and granted it wouldn't have worked, but I also wonder, is Bret leaving a necessary part of the story? Like, I think there's always going to be comparisons, right? So like, when we're trying to get Macho Man over after WrestleMania 4 and he's the world champ, Hogan's going to be gone doing the movie, but it's almost like if he sticks around, okay, yeah, we like Randy, he's the world champ, but we're really here to see Hogan. Do you think it's important to cement Shawn as the top guy, and that can only really become the case if Bret goes away for a bit? Or is that me overthinking it?
I think you're overthinking it, but it does help that Bret went away to
give
Shawn time alone.
Right. The story that came out even years later on the DVD with Bret and Shawn, and they're talking about their history, is that Shawn says to Earl something along the lines of, tell Bret to get the fuck out of the ring.
Yeah.
Talk me through that. Because you said Bret was working. This was Bret's idea, but get the fuck out of the ring. There were some hard feelings about that.
There weren't hard feelings. I disagree with that.
Okay.
As Bret said, he was upset about that?
Yes.
He did.
Yes. But now I don't know if when he said that he's trying to sell DVDs. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
You didn't, after the match, you felt like it was high fives all around. These guys are.
No, it wasn't high fives. Bret walked out of the building. And Bret Gatlet wanted to leave the impression, and everybody talking.
Even buzzing, the boys.
Even the boys.
I got you.
I called him that night. Called him being Bret. He was very pleased with the match. Shawn was very pleased with the match, and they were both happy as could be.
How was Vince? What did Vince think?
Loved it.
And Pat was crying.
Pat was crying.
How were
It's great.